Do not want to do
Recording in progress, everyone. Recording in progress. Zoom wants to make sure you know that we are recording Tea with Lee today. And we're very pleased that you could join us. We're going to hang out and just kind of let the room fill up. So as you're joining audio here in Zoom or starting to dial into the Facebook feed, we're just going to kind of be hanging out and seeing what happens for a few minutes, and then we'll get started. So sit tight. Glad you could join us. And the chat is available to you, so please do feel free to jump in there anytime and start to let us know where you're at, where you're coming from, what's going on with you. I don't know if it's just my chat, Lee, but it's pretty quiet in there. Oh, not anymore.
There we go.
It's begun. Excellent. You got hello from Tucson, Arizona. Hello from Seattle and Chicago. Colorado Springs, Colorado. You know, actually, Zach, you just posted a thing, but they changed out what's in the little blue drop down on us.
Ooh, they did switch that up on me.
Yep. And so now it's everyone. So if you're in the chat, please do set your chat to say everyone. The little box right above the message box is where you do that. If you're over on Facebook, welcome. Glad you could join us. We are just about settling in for Tea with Lee here and just letting folks fill up the room. And this is great. How you doing over there, Lee?
Doing good, Ben. I'm ready for some tea.
Good. All right. I have a little tea going. You've got some tea coming, and we got people from Philadelphia and Minnesota and South Africa and Canada and Shaker Heights and Victoria and Niagara Falls and Stockholm and Spain and Germany and all sorts of people from all over the place. London and Canada. London, Ontario. I'm guessing, unless there's
That's different than London, Canada, right?
It's different than London, Canada. Yeah. Great. So here's what we're going to do today, folks, here at Tea with Lee. We're going to start out. We're going to hang out. We're going to do our usual thing. We're going to kick things off with a little bit of discussion, and Lee's going to kind of lead us in a little bit of a getting present experience. And then we're going to dive in for Q&A. And we have a great opportunity here for you to ask Lee all of your burning questions about Qigong and so forth. So please do feel free to get in there and participate in that. The way it works is here in Zoom, we have a Q&A button, and you would use that to ask your questions of Lee. So please do feel free to start throwing those in there at any time. Over in Facebook, you can use the comments on the post. If you're watching live on Facebook, to ask your questions, feel free to put them in the comments on the post. We do have somebody over there who will bring them on over here to Zoom for you so that you can get your questions answered too. And hi from Buenos Aires. Hi from Dharmaraj from India. Oh, Dharmaraj is your name. It's not your town. Hi, Dharmaraj from India. New Zealand, we're back in level 4 lockdown. Yes, I heard about that. That's coming for us all, probably. So looks like Lee is starting to pour some tea. I've got some tea going today. If you're here in our wonderful chat, why don't you go ahead and let us know what tea you're drinking today? I'm drinking pu'er. I can't speak for Lee, but I got this beautiful cup of nice dark pu'er going on here. Look at that beautiful golden wedding band around it. It's just such a pretty color today. So I'm drinking some unblended brick, always a crowd favorite for me. What are you drinking over there, Lee?
I'm drinking a crowd favorite as well. I'm drinking Trinity.
Classic.
So it's like we got the yin and yang going on today with the two pu'ers and their
sure do.
profiles.
Somebody else drinking Trinity. That's Leo. Good job, Leo. I do love that tea very much. Greetings to Lee, Ben, and Zach. Just wanted to say how great the Swimming Dragon workshop was. Thank you. Well, thank you, Colleen, for passing that along and sharing your experience. It was great for all of us, actually. We were all commenting on it and on the team as well. Like, that was a really good one. Next level. He just keeps leveling up.
That's it.
Oh. We got a lot of green tea drinkers today. That's a beautiful thing. Green tea.
Got some Earl Grey.
Yep.
You know, Earl Grey was my tea of choice for many years.
I was always an Earl Grey, and every day I drink like 3 or 4 cups of Earl Grey. And now that I drink the same pot of tea all day, I have less caffeine in my life. It wasn't like my coffee habit was before that, but it's still a lot of caffeine now that I'm reflecting.
Yeah.
A little bit of milk and sugar. But then, you know, being in California, I had to try all sorts of other, like almond milk and soy milk and all these other types of milk. And my least favorite was almond milk and honey, or soy milk and honey. About 60% of the time would turn chalky and weird. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
Soy
milk and tea was the big thing then.
It's true. It was.
Yeah.
Never get it quite right. This is great. So why don't we do this? I think we got a lot of folks in here and they've all got their tea ready, it looks like. So Lee, if you wouldn't mind, why don't you take us through a bit of a getting present thing? We can become fully here.
Let's get fully here into the place where we can only be. Let's just use the tea to realize that.
Love it.
Cheers, everybody. Welcome to a tea session. Blessings. You know, often we sit down for tea and count our blessings, drop into the moment, feel into the space where we are, and get present to where we want to guide and direct our energy for the rest of the day. So let's just take a moment to take a big deep breath. We'll use our tea as a breathing practice. We'll take a deep breath, smelling the tea. And then I want you to just look up and exhale through the mouth. This is a cleansing, a letting go of anything obstructing you from feeling like you're in the moment. We'll do that 3 times. Very nice. And now take a sip of your tea. And just follow it down from the mouth, down through the throat, into the body, and feel how this amazing elixir becomes part of our energy system and our body. And cheers to everybody for being present. Many blessings to you all. And I look forward to a wonderful session this morning.
Cheers. Very nice. I was starting to get a little reminiscent of some of that golden elixir practice.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
Yeah. Just for all those who don't know, why don't you give us like a minute and 30-second rundown on the craziness that is the golden elixir practice. I'd say craziness, but I shouldn't denigrate it because it actually is very powerful. But
are you referring to, there's many golden elixir practices. Are you referring to the Taoist practice of how to swallow saliva?
Yeah.
Okay. It's important to distinguish.
Good point.
No, interesting because it's crazy because there's a method of moving qi into saliva in the Taoist practice because it's a way to take ethereal, unavailable energy that's out in the environment and make it available in and through our own bodies. And so it was one of the ways that they would do it was connect to some aspect of nature and breathe it into the mid-eye and then into the mouth and then in essence drink the energy so that the body could digest it. So it's like, how do we take all this energy that's out there, this abundance of energy, and make it available to our bodies? And that's what Qigong will do in a variety of different ways, whether it's relaxation or flows, or as you described, this crazy golden elixir Qigong practice of drinking saliva. I asked one of my teachers, hey, how was your day? He's like, I'm just out here meditating, watching the trees grow, drinking my saliva, was his answer. And I, as a young 22-year-old, I thought that was real weird and kind of cool. And now some years later, I understand that there does have some practical relevance to it. And even in our digestion, when we're talking about saliva, it's so important to chew your food enough to mix saliva with the food so you actually digest. Digestion starts in the mouth. And we do that with our tea practice even, is just to have the tea linger in the mouth a little bit longer so that those digestive enzymes can become activated and bring it into our digestive system. And not only is it good for our food, but it's also good for our life. So we don't get life indigestion. We have a good, strong earth element where we can eliminate negative and we can be strong and fortified in our expression of positive energy.
I love it. Yeah, that phrase, drink your food and chew your liquid.
Yes, right.
That just sort of, you hear that and you go, wait, what does that even mean? Drink your food and chew your liquid. But it kind of sticks with you, right? It's a good way to remember, like, oh yeah, that's right. I should be chewing a lot until your food's basically liquid so you can drink it, or actually having the liquid in your mouth and when you're drinking so that you can actually mix it with the saliva like you're talking about. So it's,
yep. Good stuff. And hey, these ancient sayings, they have very valid scientific backing. That's what's really fun to hear. And chewing your food, what I often recommend is just do it on the first bite. On the very first bite of a meal, chew extra. Chew 25. The recommendation is chew 50 times per bite, but try 25 on the first bite. And you start to create the habit of chewing a little more. And then it doesn't really get in the way of your conversations and social engagements while we're eating. But if you can, chew a little bit more. That's a good first tip on our tea session today.
That 50 time was obviously when you're living in a monastery and everybody at the table's chewing 50 times, then, and you're being quiet anyway, then you're not like everybody else is on the dessert course and you're still working on your salad.
Yeah. And, there wasn't any internet or, kids to tend to, you're in a monastery, that's your job. And your job is just to be present all day. So we have to do a little more integration work.
That's great. Well, thanks, Lee. That was fun. And yeah, the esoteric wonders that are ancient Taoist practices, surprising how many of them keep showing up science-wise and sort of confirming the same stuff. So how do you feel about some Q&A?
Sounds great to me.
Okay.
I'll bring the A.
All right. I'll see what I can do about some Q.
Okay. Excellent.
All right. We're going to start out with what I think is a fascinating question. What still surprises you about your Qigong practice or about teaching Qigong?
That's fantastic. Oh, that's a great question, because it is a surprise when I come to the practice with beginner's mind. And that's what I often do, is not try to have my preconceived notions, my labels of what a practice is going to be based on prior experience. We can't fully do that because we know a practice or we know an experience and it's imbued into the next practice. But to come at the practice without labeling it or expecting anything and drop into the moment with this new moment, with me as a new person, with this new energy as the class, and just ask and be curious about what surprises I'm going to find. And one of the things that I do to drop into that state is I don't plan out my classes fully. I might have an idea, I might have an exercise or two that I want, but I arrive into the moment and I just say, let me be a vessel for these movements and meditations and flows to come through me in the best way that's possible for this moment. And that's often a challenge because I have to really step out of my own way, because what if I don't remember a movement? What if I don't have anything else to say? And now that I've been doing that for many years, it's always a wonderful surprise for me to receive the teaching or the class as well as to teach it.
I think that's terrific. And that's also how I roll when I teach. But I know there are some people who are a little more metal, for whom that's just not a great way to show up in front of a crowd.
It is not.
Yeah.
In the beginning too, it's important to map it out. And even if you want to map out every single exercise, then just be open to seeing what arises spontaneously within the structure of the class. So I have a little less structure. That's just me as a personality. I tend to be more spontaneous and flowy. And that's, and Ben tends to be a little more structured and organized. And that's why that's why our relationship works so well.
Exactly. Yeah. Beautiful. Well, thanks for the answer. And what a great question, Catherine. I really appreciate that. Here's one from Kim. I heard you talking about the triple warmer sound to relax and clear energy for sleep.
Yes.
Is there also a sound that would help clear mental fog, but in a more awakening or focusing way?
They would say a couple answers. Now, what is the mental fog from? Is it because we're real sleepy, like in the morning, and we didn't get enough rest? Is the mental fog from being stressed out and you've just been having a lot on your mind? Always the best is to do a full practice, to do a full 5-element practice, because each element is going to support the previous one, and it's designed in a way to create a cohesiveness and an activation of all the team players within you. Mental fog often is related to the earth element. It is when our earth element, that's our digestion and our center and our belly, when it's depleted, often the energy is rising up. So too much thinking, students often will get this syndrome because they're constantly studying and reading, and the energy rises up and repeats, and it depletes the center. And what it creates is mental fog and fatigue. And so if we can return the energy back to the belly, balance the earth elements, then the mind is clear, it's focused. So when you read, you're reading with receptivity. And when you recall, it's easily available. That's what mental clarity is about. And that's what the spleen's job is. So if it's murky, if there's a lot of murky water, then the spleen can't do its job, both in digestion and clarity of thought. So when you're studying, when you're focusing at work, the recommendation is every hour, take a little qi break, 3 minutes of doing a little qigong practice, or just step outside or move your body in some way. Don't just stay on the computer studying and working hour after hour, because it's diminishing in its return. Funny enough, my kids were doing a memory course by a memory expert, and he said all the research is showing that you lose, your recall goes way down after 45 minutes of reading. You start losing about 90% of what you read after about 45 minutes of focused practice. So he recommended 45 minutes, go take a 15-minute break, come back and study more. And that's the way you get clarity of mind. So again, very interesting east-west synergies.
That is very interesting. That
I didn't give her the answer though, really. So spleen sound would be good.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, all healing sounds it will be good, but then also spend a little extra time with the spleen, or the triple warmer is good if you just want a quick bringing the energy down out of the head. It helps with mental fog for sure.
Yeah, it's such an interesting thing. I mean, it's if you're moving into a relaxation mode, then the thing that typically causes mental fog is going to keep you from getting to sleep in many cases. A lot of people ruminate a lot. A lot of people have a lot of activity in the head. But as you're saying, it's like it's the same when you're awake. You just don't go off to bed. You go off to be active, and such an interesting thing. Folks are asking, what is the triple warmer and what is the spleen sound? So the triple warmer is, the sound is he, H-E-E, but you usually do it in a whisper. And so the question is about this process we often recommend before sleep of doing the triple warmer sound and this pulling down the heavens movement to bring energy out of the head. And so it's, which Zoom might have just cut off. I'm not sure.
No, it sounded pretty good.
Good. And then the spleen sound is similar. It's, we go through basically all the 5 elements plus the triple warmer. So there's sounds for all of them. There's a whole course on it called the Healing Sounds, but they also find their way into our video class subscriptions as well. So you'll pick them up if you hang out around here for a while, for sure. All 6 of them, plus then their variations. So it gets a little complicated to do in one go. Here's an interesting follow-up question, I think, that's apropos. Tal is saying, person very dear to me has a serious issue with making decisions, constantly debates internally about options, isn't able to reach decisions, small and large, including about relationships or professional paths. Can Qigong help?
Yeah, it's interesting because we often will talk about the organs when there's a particular mental emotional thing, and decision making often is related to the wood element. And the gallbladder, of all things, it delineates. And so the gallbladder in Chinese medicine, as part of the wood element, is said to be instrumental in making decisions. So there's some points in the gallbladder channel right here. So what's interesting is if this gallbladder 21 point is contracted and tight, it's like there's not enough energy getting to the head. Plus the gallbladder meridian goes right across here. So some liver work, some liver flows, even just running the fingers around the gallbladder meridian and here can be helpful with making decisions. Of course, there's more to it than just meridian and energy. Often it stems from maybe lack of clarity, maybe self-esteem, when we all second guess our questions. The other aspect energetically would be head and heart, because often our responsible mind, here's what I should do, but here's what I want to do, are in conflict. And this can happen all the time. And so which one are we going to listen to? Are we going to do exactly what's going to bring us joy and love and bliss? Or are we going to do, well, I got to be responsible, go to work in a job that maybe I don't want to do because I got to make money and feed the kids. And so we have set up maybe a society where all these centers and wisdom that we're getting information internally aren't always in alignment, and it's making some reconciliations and some negotiations between those areas. There's not necessarily a right or wrong. It's just, am I making a decision from my heart, which is going to bring me happiness, or am I making a decision from my head? And sometimes one needs to happen and sometimes the other. And maybe there's a way in which we can reconcile through our own internal meditation processes or contemplation and say, hey, what if I'm going to come from my heart, what is it, something I can do each and every day that brings me a little joy? Infuse that into your day, even if you have a job that's challenging or a lot of responsibilities. What can I do to bring this into it? Maybe I can say something nice to somebody. Maybe I can have a 15-minute meditation break. Maybe at the end of the day, I go out and do something that I just absolutely love and adore. Those kinds of things. And Qigong will be very helpful because it helps you to really get clear on where the energy is coming from and why.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, it's fascinating how the mind, the intellect can always find alternative information. And so you can get stuck for sure forever. Ultimately, for me, I have become dramatically more decisive as I've become dramatically more intuitive.
Yeah.
Right. You do a lot of Qigong, you become more and more intuitive, and then you just sort of go, okay, well, the brain's going to go back and forth all day, but I already kind of know in my body, and I can sense that now. It was already there all the time, but I was so busy in my brain that I didn't hear, or I wasn't aware of those feelings that were very clear. So I would say Qigong can very much help. And if this has been a lifelong issue for somebody, it may take some time, but they certainly can cultivate intuition through this path. Got a couple of interesting questions about seasons. So the first one is, what season are we here in the Northern Hemisphere in? Understood it was late summer, the 5th season, where the focus moves to Earth until autumn equinox, but I've heard other people saying we're already in autumn. Could you talk a little bit about the seasons and how this can be reflected in our practice?
Yeah. When we're looking at the season and the 5 elements, it's not date specific, it's energetically sensed and felt. So often this late summer is called Indian summer, which was related to the earth element. But earth element can also be the season between seasons. A warm day in winter can be a bit of earth element, like a summer that shows up, or a spring. And so earth element is sort of this transitional time. What I find fascinating about the earth, it's stable so that seasons can change. change happens on a stability. So we have the earth holding itself stable, and then change revolves around it. And this idea of mild or transitionary, where the earth element just maybe shines through and peeks through a particular season in the midst of everything else. Often it was related to this late summer time, but it can be thought of as the season between seasons. And one thing to think about is how change happens through the stability of something else, and that stability is often seen as the earth as well.
Yep. Leonie says not very stable anymore with climate change. Well, it is changing.
Yeah.
Yep. But there will be new patterns. They'll just be different patterns. Well, that's a great answer. Another question based on the seasons, which we're going to find. As you know, Lee, we are in transition. Late summer earth element. For the past few weeks, I've experienced a never before experienced stomach issue. Friday's acupuncture session did work on the spleen and suggested no dairy, no fruits. Practicing pebble in the pond, earth grounding. What else? And are there any Chinese herbs that you might recommend under the circumstances?
Yeah, there's the famous Chinese herbal formula, the Four Gentlemen, which is a great formula for basically tonifying the earth element. It often is used for, just mild boosting of energy, strengthening digestion, strengthening energy overall, clear thinking, all these things around the earth. You could try that. That's going to be a great formula. But, with herbs, always, your acupuncturist who's listening to your pulse and knows you a little bit more might take those 4 herbs and then add to it, or they might choose a whole different formula based on your energetic profile. So that's how herbs often will work, more individually oriented. And there's some generalities that these herbs are helpful because we're all human beings, and plant medicine can really help us find harmony and balance when we're out of balance. It's often said like composting, we take our garbage, we put it on the earth gives us back something. We have this synergistic relationship to the earth and nature, and plants can help to create and reestablish harmony in us when things get out of balance.
Yeah, it's also interesting. I mean, I think there's, as you say, there's these general things that typically work. And then there's this category of herbs as well that's called the tonic herbs, which are things you can take when you don't have a particular condition. So often the herbs that are used to treat particular conditions really do need to be a little bit more tailored to your particular constitution, your particular individual makeup. The Four Gentlemen is an interesting one. I know Plum Flower brand has that. So if anybody's looking for it, it's out there, and you often recommend that brand.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Here's an interesting thing that I think is a little bit of a sign of the times. Yulia is asking about yin and yang and why are they male and female? And is there some way to talk about it without falling into stereotypical role assignments of male and female?
That's great. Wonderful. And often the way I think of it is not male, female, but masculine, feminine. Right. That might be a little bit better characteristic, so that it's not gender specific, it's quality oriented. And so, we'll talk about the yang energy, in female bodies, or, and how that comes out, or the yin energy in male bodies. So we all have yin and yang, male, female energies within us. What is coming out? It does not have to do with gender or sexual preference. It's describing the relational energy that life is, whether it's internal, inside me, and outside me. Inside me would be considered yin. External to me is considered yang. Can we have one without the other? No, we can't have insides without outsides. Right. Can we have fronts without backs? No. So the front would be considered yin, the back is considered yang. Can we have up without down? No. So the relation is something, is the earth yin? it depends on what we're describing it in relation to. If we describe it in relationship to the sun, yes, the earth is considered yin, the sun considered yang. If we bring it into context with the moon, we'd say the earth is yang. There's more activity than on the moon, which is reflected light of the sun, which is a yin quality. So the earth would be more yang. Now, when we look at ourselves, when does that yang energy come out? It might be in this particular context at a social gathering with a lot of friends. And you might go real yin at a different gathering where you don't know anybody. And so you can see it. It's a beautiful representation of life, because it's not only saying that life is constantly changing, it is saying that the symbol itself will change depending on the context we put it in.
Yeah, that's always fascinating to me. I mean, the topic is very deep, yin and yang and balance and how those things flow. But I love what you say about how the symbol itself will change depending on what it's being compared to.
Yeah,
it's true. You know, you can't have anything without its opposite, basically, in some form or fashion. It's, you know, it's all of language is dividing the world into cup and not cup. Like just the way that we use words is by nature creating all these binaries.
Yeah.
And then our experience of the world of, you know, dark and light, morning and night, hot and cold. I mean, everything has its opposites. And yet, as you say, like that, which is more of this or less of that relative to what? It's always relative to what? So I think, you know, looking back at history and the observation of, we needed a name for each pole, right? They just needed a name for it, right? We call it positive and negative in electricity or in magnet, right? It's like, okay, that's the positive pole and that's the negative pole. But I think the qualities were generally exhibited by, you know, masculine and feminine behaviors, not just in humans, but in animal kingdom, pretty much across the board at a certain like type of mammals. But meanwhile, other animals do the exact opposite. The feminine animal, the animal is considered female biologically through sex reproduction, etc., is more aggressive and more assertive and more is the hunter or whatever it may be, and then the masculine. So certainly, you know, our evolution and then the evolution of our cultures and societies and everything else has sort of created that some connotations there that I think now it's a fascinating time to be alive, because we don't have to necessarily just take them as the script for our lives. Yeah. But we still have those words, yin and yang. We still have that observation. And these principles are really valuable, because if you notice that you're to whichever, masculine, almost every spiritual path out there has some focus on balancing these energies inside yourself. So if you're a super young guy or a super young girl, doesn't matter, you'll have difficulty and without finding balance, without cultivating the opposite in order to find the balance that then can lead to this sort of internal peace that can actually allow you to do more advanced spiritual work and find higher states of ascension. So yeah, we're kind of stuck with some language, but those are the poles, you know, like, and it'd be weird. I think it'd be challenging politically to say, oh, we're going to change what we used to call masculine and feminine to positive and negative. Because then it's like, what do you mean? The feminine's negative? It's like, no, it's not what we mean, but we couldn't possibly go down that road at this point. So
it's not positive, negative doesn't mean good, bad.
Right.
It means polarity. Yeah. So, and
just like masculine and feminine doesn't mean man and woman.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
And I think that's always been the case, but now it's easier for people for whom they're on whatever, you know, the 20% of the 80-20 rule to live in our culture. And I'm grateful for that. I think we all are.
And it's funny enough that we're talking about, you know, yin and yang, which is just a fabulous topic and a really deep dive to explore life and its symbolic representation to, you know, truth and reality. Somebody just sent me a book on yin and yang. It was a big, thick book, and it's just like exploring yin and yang. You know, I was just like, oh, that's cool. It's sitting on my desk at the office. Somebody wrote it and they sent it to me. So I'm looking forward to diving in a little bit deeper.
Oh yeah, I saw that float through. I want to read that too.
Now, the interesting thing about yin and yang is that it was the original yin and yang was describing the sunny side of a hill and a shady side of the hill. And so they have some characteristics where the sunny side is going to become the shady side and the shady side is going to become the sunny side. So there's yin and yang as the description of change. Within yin is yang. That's that little circle inside each of those polarities. And within yin is yang, within yang is yin. And so there's interconnections, there's transformation, there's change. It speaks to harmonious relationships like bees and flowers, and adversarial relationships that still create balance like birds and worms. And we'll just see that in our lives as well. There's people that support and are harmonious with you, and there's people that challenge you. And there's, the path of clearing and rebirth as well. So it's just fascinating. And, we get into this yin yang discussion and how it relates to qi and health, because when we look at medicine, it's always homeostasis is balance between yin and yang within our energy system. So as a Chinese medicine doctor, they're going to always look as, is something too yin, is it too yang, as a first mode of diagnosis. And you could look at just action and rest. Are you sleeping well? Are you have enough activity? And so when there's clarity of yin and yang, we feel good. When there's disharmony of yin and yang, we feel off.
Excellent. Yep. All right. Well, the yin and yang topic is a pretty deep one. And I'm really glad we touched on it today. From a strictly male standpoint, here's another question for you. From a TCM perspective, how is a vasectomy viewed?
That's interesting. And there's not a straightforward answer, because there is only what happens to you with that, because everybody's, again, a little different. Now, sexual energy is called Jing Qi. It means essence. The essence of where life comes from is sexual energy. So when we have a vasectomy, it shifts the way in which sperm production happens. And so some people say, well, now that you've had the vasectomy, your body was going to now allocate all that energy, instead of pushing it and moving it towards a reproductive act, it's going to be assimilated into your body, and there's some benefits to that. There's also, anytime we have a surgery, there's a chance of some scar tissue or things like that. In general, what I've heard from Chinese doctors and QiGong teachers is can be fairly mild. The procedure is fairly mild, and not getting it, you might end up with some offspring, which is a lot of work, and you need to be ready for that. So each one has its own positives and negatives in yin and yangs. So very personal decision.
Excellent. Thank you for that. We have a few topical items about particular health issues. So do you have any recommendation with painful heels, more like Achilles tendon? I walk 3 miles every day, and once I start moving, the pain diminishes.
Okay, so that's with movement, we now understand one question we ask in Chinese medicine: does it feel better with heat or with cold? And so this says, oh, it probably feels better with some heat. As you start to move, circulation improves. Some tendinitis in that area, or fasciitis, that's the fascia along the bottoms of the foot, can be inflamed when there's too much running, walking, standing on the feet is often a cause of that. So improve the circulation there, massage that Achilles tendon areas around the kidney area, the kidney bladder meridian, the water element. So working on the kidney, the bladder, acupressure points like kidney 3 or urinary bladder 60. Those are right there on the Achilles tendon. You could just massage. I would say put some heat on it, some moist heat before doing a walk to get that warmed up. Now, the question is the walking irritating it or not? That's something to think about. And then like a Dao Yin Qigong floor exercise, you lay on your back, put the foot in the air, hold the hamstring with both hands, and then just circle the foot or point and flex the toe. That's very helpful as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Another one, a frozen shoulder. Leonie's asking about a frozen shoulder. Do we have any specific exercises that help a frozen shoulder?
Frozen shoulder is tricky, right? And it does describe the nature of energy. So often with the frozen shoulder, we have some shoulder injury. The shoulder gets hurt and we put it in a position where we don't move it. The injury then heals and we end up with frozen shoulder because we haven't moved the shoulder, which creates a worse problem than the actual injury. I'm not saying this happened with you, but this is often the case with frozen shoulder. If also, for example, if somebody hurts their hand, they put their hand in a cast like this, the injury heals and they take the cast off, those tendons are frozen in the hand. The fingers sometimes won't even move back ever. The body is designed for movement. And so we need to keep moving the body. Now, once this has happened, it's like, okay, now I understand we need to keep moving. What do I do with the frozen shoulder? We got to break up that stagnation of qi. What is done in Chinese medicine is often cupping, microcurrent, electrical acupuncture, physical therapy kinds of exercises to break up that stagnation and really try to move past those restrictions a little bit more each and every day. I would suggest an acupuncturist, cupping, a physical therapy, and doing Qigong as best you can. So if we're saying pull the hands, pulling down the heavens, and this arm only goes up here, you just would move it like that. But maybe tomorrow it's a little bit more. The last thing I'll say is as you go like this, imagine in your mind that your arm is all the way up here already. So we're going to use the mind to start to create an energetic pattern for the physical body to move into.
Excellent. Yeah, there are, many of the movements have some degree of shoulder movement. So it is a process of, we've seen a bunch of people go through that process around here because a lot of people end up with shoulder injuries. It's so easy to injure. I've had a couple since I started body surfing, thankfully mild and not persistent, but it's just like it's joint moves every which way. So there's always something that's getting tweaked.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another one. Overactive bladder.
Overactive bladder. Okay, so we're going to see. Now, when we start looking at Chinese medicine, we look at the body in a different way than we would in the West. So it's a different paradigm. So that's important to remember, that we're not going to say overactive bladder or high blood pressure. We're going to say liver yang rising. We're going to describe what the qi is doing. And so in an overactive bladder, what's the qi doing? There might be too much yang energy in the bladder, which is the water element. It's like the water is too turbulent and is, like if the waves are too big, it all of a sudden it won't stay in its container. If it gets too windy on a lake, the water spills over and whatnot. So overactive is yang energy infused into this area. So we want to calm down the yang. We want to calm it down specifically in the water element area. Now we can look and say, well, what is the cause of all this turbulence? What's the root cause? Now we can say, let's dig a little bit deeper. Is there a lot of stress and turbulence in your life? Is there a lot of emotional energy? Is there, what's happening? So we can start to demystify it and start to make some ways in which we'll say, okay, let's calm everything down. So I'm going to say for overactivity in the body, Qigong is really great because it's yin. It's more yin in nature. It's nice and balanced Qigong because it's movement, which is activity, but it's relaxation, which is yin. And so this balancing out of our energy system will help yin and yang reestablish harmony. So Qigong, I'm going to say water element exercises, nice slow flows, like the fountain and Zen circles are going to be really nice. I would spend a little bit more time with flows if you can. than the, let's say, beginning parts of our exercise or where we're doing a lot of warming up and activity. Nothing wrong with that. I would just say do extra time with flows, or if you are going to emphasize a particular part of your practice, slow flows in alignment with the water element.
Excellent. We have another question. Can you do too much Qigong? We have people, or this person saying that they do it for over an hour a day now. They're just wondering if it's okay.
Is that okay? How do you feel afterwards? I imagine you're feeling pretty good if you're doing over an hour a day. Can you do too much Qigong? You can. And in the same way, you can do too much exercise. And how do you know you've done too much exercise? You usually get a little tired, a little sore. So build up slowly. If you haven't, if you're new to the practice of Qigong, don't do 3 hours. Start off with an hour and keep working your way up. It is great to do some intensive occasionally where you've been doing your practice, your 20 minutes to an hour every day. And then, you go on retreat and you do 3 or 4 hours of Qigong every day. It's a nice way to really create a healing effect, challenge your energy system. So ideally you do, a good solid practice, an hour, 2 hours each and every day. And then some days you do more, or some days you do less, depending on your life. If you have the time and the desire to do more, by all means, do it. I've seen people, they've said, oh man, I just love this practice so much. I'm doing about 3 hours a day. I feel great. Is that okay? Hey, if you're feeling great, absolutely. So listen to yourself and listen to what it is that you want with your practice. What are the intentions of your practice? And fit it into your lifestyle.
Excellent advice. Yeah, that thing that occasionally happens to somebody who comes to Qigong and goes nuts right out of the gate, the Qi hangover effect can be a little bit pronounced at first. So as long as you're not getting that, I think you're fine.
Ben, you didn't use the right terminology. We were talking about yin and yang. It's called a yang over.
Ah, nice.
There it is, huh? Qigong dad jokes.
Yep, we got a Qigong dad in the house. Be careful, everybody.
You teed me up too well.
It's true. Heather's asking, is it okay to show a friend how to do the spinal cord breathing if that may be the only one they ever do? If they want to learn more, I'll send them to you.
Okay. Hey, whatever resonates with them. If you're only going to show somebody one exercise, whatever one seems to fit that person, one that they will do, and it makes sense to them, because if they start doing one exercise that really works for them, it often feels good, and they have that, I'm doing one, that feels really good. I wonder if there's another. So spinal cord breathing is just fine. It's a great choice, I would say.
Well, and Heather, I think also part of what you're asking is it okay to share some of this stuff with other people, even though you're not a certified teacher or whatever? And I think the answer is absolutely yes. I mean, don't feel like you can only show them one movement and then you have to go and convince them to do online classes. It's if they really want to learn, this is the place to be. I mean, Lee's just such an amazing teacher and so experienced and so knowledgeable, but share it. I mean, spread the Qi. That's what we're here to do. Our world will be infinitely better when more and more people have the health benefits, the emotional benefits, the wellness of doing these practices, every day. And that's our goal. That's our mission. That's what we're here for. And that's why we're doing this. And that's why we're bringing it out online, is that it's like, yes, get people to do it. So Heather, I appreciate your asking permission, but don't feel restrained. If you want to really teach people, please come and get certified and learn how to do it well. But if you just want to help a friend, show them some moves, try to get them lit up that way, please, by all means, don't hesitate. We have a visitor in a house. Everybody say hi to baby Harper.
Can you say
Hey,
hi?
Harper. How you doing?
She's the Qi and Bottle Master, not tea yet.
All right. Yeah.
We could have another one called Bottles with Harper, but not Tea with Harper yet. Although she finds it very fascinating, all these accoutrements, she wants to grab them.
Oh yeah. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Hey, little one.
Say
What a
hi.
cutie.
She now see when we do Tea with Lee and have these recordings, we're gonna have a real clear distinction. Each tea session, she's a month older.
That's right. You can go back in history and watch her grow up.
Yes.
It'd be great.
The evolution of Harper's Qi.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she just burped. Good
Yep.
job.
It's
Good job.
It's good Qi release.
She's saying mama and dada, so that's been exciting around here.
Oh, progress.
Yeah.
Very good. Fantastic.
And she does a lot of good pterodactyl qigong, which is
For some reason she's saying Ben now.
she's saying Ben now too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
That's great.
We don't know how that happened.
My name must come up a lot. That's great. That's a beautiful thing. It feels good. Uncle Ben is in the house.
Oh, that's funny.
Cool. Great. So we have a question about anxiety attacks. Which Qigong exercise should I practice for anxiety attacks?
Okay, so now anxiety is often related more to the heart and the fire element. And so sometimes anxiety is also related to the earth element. And it really depends on what we mean by anxiety. Is it anxiety that I just can't stop thinking and ruminating? That's more of the spleen, overactive thinking mind. But often anxiety, we think of as more of the heart, where it's, emotional imbalance. We feel a tightness in the chest. We feel, more emotional stress than mental stress. And so I'm going to recommend for anxiety, first and foremost, calm the emotions, calm the heart energy. So do exercises that would balance heart, spend more time in relaxation, doing things that relax you, less time with people that cause you stress and anxiety. So, simple answer, work on the heart and the fire elements. And the good news is we have a couple of Qigong for anxiety programs and workshops that really dive into the topic in a much deeper way.
Yeah, the Qigong for anxiety program, the healing series, is really beautiful. Outdoor nature stuff, which is also, I think, helpful. And then the workshop goes into more of the principles Lee was just talking about and some of those distinctions. Here's another one. How can I improve my white blood cell count?
That's interesting, right? Because we were talking about white blood cells, part of the circulatory system, but really part of the immune system. Where are the white blood cells made? Often in the bone marrow. And so it's a complex topic. And what we want to remember is that we don't make the blood cells. The intelligent energy system of you makes the white blood cells. What do we do to create an environment within ourselves that leads to healthy, balanced? Because we don't want too many white blood cells. We don't want too little. And we want our immune system to respond to pathogens in an appropriate way. Otherwise, we can get an overactive immune system where the immune system starts attacking the body itself. And so what we want to do is reestablish harmony and balance, yin and yang harmony, clear stress, increase energy, as Qigong will be really good. Now we can target. Maybe we have low white blood cell count. We get this diagnosis. Okay, let's tonify our bone marrow. Let's do some bone marrow work, because that's where those blood cells are. Let's strengthen our immune system, and maybe we'll strengthen our cardiovascular systems. First and foremost, let's clear stress. Let's clear stress each and every day with the Qigong practice. Then I would recommend Qigong for bones. We have a nice program around the bones and bone strength. That's really good for the bone marrow and the blood. And let's also look at the heart and the cardiovascular system and really increase the function and the circulation of the heart.
Very good. I know we always get questions about 5 elements, and many people here know about the 5 elements, have done various things in the 5 elements with us. The question that's coming up right now is Leslie's asking, regarding the 5 element standing postures, all of them make some degree of intuitive sense in relation to the organs, except for the metal and lung ones. The metal lung, which is the lower tree pose. She's not sure how the lower tree pose relates to the lung.
With the lower branches, we're really focusing on the lung meridian, the thumb and the lung meridian to the chest. So we're relaxing and opening. We're creating an open pocket right here. Even if you feel when you make your arms around this area opens up with qi, the pocket becomes bigger. And then this energy now is going to pour through the lung meridian. And we're going to do deep breathing while we do it. And often with a standing posture, we focus on that particular element, hold a standing posture, breathe, and then our intention is there. Your mind is there. So that also creates the energy around it. So intent, breath, and qi all working together to move into a particular element to fill it up or tonify it.
Excellent. Yeah, it's so interesting. It seems so similar to the normal embracing a tree, or not normal, but the upper tree pose where your arms are up at shoulder width. So how are those two different? And
really it comes to intention, embracing the tree, where you're going to think, the name of the posture, tree, wood element. When your arms are up here, the liver meridian is in the rib cage. And so we're creating more space. When our arms are down like this, there's less movement into the rib cage where the liver meridian is. And now there's more energy. And you could also say, well, now, but my arms are up more closer to my lungs. So sure, here's the thing. All standing postures are going to bring energy to all elements, but we're just focusing on one to create it's like we're closing one door so the water flows into the other one a little stronger, flushes it out, cleans it out, creates that sparkling water and flow of qi into that one particular organ. And then we'll contain the energy there and we'll open the other door and send it to the other organs. And so we're skillfully moving the energy around in the organ systems by focusing in on one particular area at a time.
Excellent. Leah's saying, I've asked a question in Q&A, no answer. Now I've asked 2 questions here. Hi, Leah. We've got about 44 we haven't answered yet, about 17 we have. And so when we do this Q&A, we get through as many as we can, and we try to make it work. But there's always more people who want Lee's attention than Lee has attention to give. So you can always write in to support@holdenqigong.com to get answers to your questions as well. So that's just something that everybody should know. Figured I'd mention it. In Qigong, should we engage our core for some of the exercises?
That's a question that comes up. And in Qigong, it is not a core, often it's not, the focus isn't on core strength. It is on energetic circulation. And so when we think of movements and exercise, we often need to think about what is the intention of it. When you go to a Pilates class, the intention is core strength. When you come to a Qigong class, the intention is energetic harmony. And so we don't necessarily squeeze core muscles as we're doing standing flows, because we want to focus on relaxation. That's the difference. We will at some area and sometimes say, squeeze the abdomen, hold the abdomen tight. But those are very specific exercises to strengthen the core and maybe bring energy to the kidneys, or reverse breathing, where you're drawing the abdomen in and up as you inhale. Different exercises will move qi to different areas of the body strategically. For the most part, Qigong is a practice of relaxation, of effortless flow, of allowing energy to move you rather than always having to do everything yourself. The way in which Qigong works is it looks at nature and says, you know what, most things in nature, there's no effort, there's no doing, there's ease. Look at a river flowing down the mountain. There's not a struggle, there's not stress, right? Bamboo in the wind, it's not the bamboo moving the wind, it's the wind moving the bamboo. In a similar sense, we see people as overly doing. We hold too much tension, we do too much thinking, and that creates blockages in our energy. So we create this rebalancing by doing less to accomplish more. Accomplish more what? Accomplish more energy, accomplish more clarity, accomplish more emotional balance, more health. All the things that we want often come about by doing less because they're a natural state. And by all this doing, we interfere. Like, if you plant a seed and every day you dig up the dirt to look at the seed, it's not going to grow very well. So we're interfering with the natural flow. And so as we relax more, all these benefits start to happen. And, it's funny because everybody wants more relaxation. They just, when I retire, I'll finally get able to relax. And Qigong says, no, relax each and every day. Find relaxation, because that's going to create health, harmony, and balance in your life. Relaxation is always available. So that's the difference.
Perfect. Well, this is normally when our good friend Zach would show up with some Facebook questions, but his internet connection has been choppy. So he sent them to me. So now we're going to knock through a bunch of Facebook questions, although there's not that many, but we have some. Do you have any recommendations for lack of motivation when practicing Qigong?
Oh, create a routine. Lack of motivation, often we are creatures of contentment. We often don't want to do. And sometimes once we start doing, we feel a whole lot better. So when we have lack of motivation, create a routine and make small goals. Say, I'm going to just do 7 minutes each and every day at 9 a.m. or, put it in your schedule. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m. I'm going to do 7 minutes. Tuesdays, Thursdays, at 5 p.m. I'm going to do an hour. Whatever it is that you can fit in, make it a routine and a habit and see how good you feel. If, you almost always when you do your Qigong, you feel better than when you don't do it. And it's this aha moment that he's like, I feel so much better. And when I feel better, I have more energy. When I have more energy, I'm more efficient. When I'm more efficient, I have more clarity, I get more done. I'm going to do Qigong because I just am a whole lot better as myself. And I show up better, I show up more efficiently, I feel better, people around me notice. So that's the motivation.
Absolutely. Yep. For me, the routine method doesn't really work, but what does work is the streak method of trying to maintain a streak of days where I did at least a few minutes of Qigong. So that 7-minute thing is such a valuable thing because it really is just the amount of time that you need to shift your nervous system out of its sort of like fight or flight mode and be in that relaxation and rest and healing mode. And so that's kind of my magic number. And it's easy to do 7 minutes. Even if it's the last thing I do today, before I go to bed, I can find 7 minutes to do Qigong. So for me, Linda says Ben's a streaker.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for me, the
Qigong move.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. For me, it's like, okay, every day I got to check that box, and that when I can, I'll check it with a good solid hour and 20 minutes, longer practice. But if I have to, I'll check it with 7 minutes right before I go to bed.
I like it.
Several people are asking about COVID recovery. Can you please recommend best practices for fast, strong COVID recovery?
For COVID recovery, breathing exercises, meditation, and working on the lung energy. Even simple things like slow, relaxed, deep breathing in and out through the nose as frequently as you can. I might even say, set a little reminder, maybe an alarm, 4 times a day. And then when that alarm goes off, take 5 minutes to do slow, deep breathing in and out through the nose. That would be like a 5-second inhale and a 5-second exhale. And just reestablish harmony and strength in your respiratory system. Then I would also say, do Qigong for the lungs, like a program like Qigong for better breathing with all the pressure points and the tapping, and just build up the Qi post infection. That's what this is. We want to build up our energy. Often when there's pathogenic qi, an infection, a virus, we then, after it's cleared, we reestablish our righteous qi. Righteous qi is your unique energy, your individual energy. So we reestablish them in an invader. There often is a depletion. There's a pushing out, and now we fill back up. So the filling back up in where it's located would probably be most likely the lungs, maybe the heart, maybe the digestion. So I would start with the lungs, and then also 5-element flow in the morning. Healing sounds at night is always a good harmonious practice to reestablish equilibrium. 5-element flow in the morning, 6 healing sounds as a meditation or a movement practice in the evening.
Excellent. Very helpful, I'm sure. Charmaine is asking, any suggestions for doing Qigong practice with angina? I have the heart workshop plus many more, but had to drop back to 7 minutes of practice.
Yeah, I think looking at what the root cause is. So maybe, the heart, working with the heart is very good. And some pressure points, a lot of research on pericardium 6. It shows it helps with arrhythmias and heart pain or chest pain. And, maybe just a simple practice of just massaging those heart points, doing a little massage here and doing like cloudy hands, like a very short routine multiple times a day. That would be a great suggestion. I'll recommend maybe some acupuncture and some herbs to just give you that boost that you need, and really keeping the stress levels low, and really focus on good sleep hygiene.
Sleep hygiene, so important and tricky these days.
Yeah.
Speaking of acupuncture, Connie says, I love it when you talk about pressure points in acupuncture. I've recently had auricular acupuncture. What are your thoughts on this?
Auricular acupuncture, acupuncture in the ears. In Chinese medicine, there were the original microsystem developers, meaning reflexology, foot reflexology, hand reflexology, and auricular reflexology. So when you look at a picture of the ear, you're going to see a body, kind of almost in fetal position that goes to different areas in the body. And the research, when we've done a lot of Western research, is showing that it really is helpful for overcoming addiction. Mm-hmm. And so in Chinese medicine school, we use auricular acupuncture for overcoming addiction and a lot of other things as well. But the research is really well established on addiction because the ears are very connected to our nervous system. And somehow when we stimulate pressure points in the ears, it helps to balance and calm our nervous system. A nice simple exercise is just to massage your ears all over as a way to clear cravings, whether it's food, smoking, anything, and just to calm your nervous system down, and it helps with cravings. So I love acupressure, and auricular acupressure is very effective.
Yeah, it's fascinating how much or how little research we actually have in the West in science. And it's such a hard thing to study because so much of the acupuncture is really based on that differential diagnosis that is very, very particular to the individual's circumstances, as opposed to the Western method of deciding if things work. But sometimes some of these things have been treated or have been studied enough and sort of seem to work for almost everybody, like the addiction help. Kelly's asking, any suggestions to help plantar fasciitis and other running type injuries? I feel like we sort of covered this, but also the addition of the running question, I think maybe adds a wrinkle.
Yeah, a little tricky because runners want to keep running, and part of the problem is that we've created an inflammation in the feet because of overuse or high arches or flat feet or whatnot. So I would say limit or maybe shorter runs, or take some time to bike ride or swim is always a recommendation. But some people say, no, I want to keep running. What can I do? Well, then you work those points. And what I've found with plantar fasciitis is like massage therapy, working out the adhesions on the bottoms of the feet, like rolling the foot on a ball, stretching the Achilles tendon, lying on your back and creating a nice open pathway where you interlock the fingers, like I said, and circle the foot and stretch and spend some time opening up. Alternating hot and cold on the foot can be helpful for improving circulation. Getting some acupuncture, some massage therapy, and physical therapy also work really well. But try to rest a little bit. If you took, a few weeks off, did all those therapeutic things, the foot has a chance to heal. Then we can come back to the activity without the injury, with a little more caution.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's tough to stop doing your thing.
It is.
Stacy says, I did the personality test from Between Heaven and Earth, which is a book that covers 5 elements, among other things, and from Dr. Lita's website. I was a fire personality in Between Heaven and Earth, and water from Dr. Lita's website. This totally intrigues me as well as confuses me.
Welcome to Chinese medicine.
Yeah.
That was the first 3 years of Chinese medicine school. And then the last year, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. It's an art as well as a science.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it probably is this. It is probably because we use the 5 elements to look at layers. And I imagine that in the 5 element in Between Heaven and Earth, you might be doing a personality test, and Dr. Lita's website, you might be doing a physiological body type test. And so you might be a water body type with the fire personality. And so we're going to see what is my constitution in my body? How is that manifesting in my emotions and the way I relate to the world? They can be different. And so a personality type, we're going to see, fire is going to be very social, very outgoing, orient to community and connection and relations. But a water personality is going to be like, well, I'd rather spend time with just a couple of close friends or by myself. Whereas body types, fire is going to be, water is going to be a little bit more robust, maybe harder to motivate to get off the couch and do activities, where fire is going to be wanting to do stuff a little bit wiry, thinner, muscular body type and frame. And so, those two can be different, and depending on what we're looking at as a lens to those 5 elements. And those 5 elements, like we said with Yin and Yang, we can take those characteristics and put it over an aspect of ourselves and see how those 5 elements are interacting and where we can establish balance. Also good to remember, everybody has all 5 elements. It's just what degree are those elements present at that particular time in your life. I'm looking at some of my kids right now. They're going through a very fire element stage in life. As teenagers, they just want to socialize, be with their friends, connect to other people. And in those kind of stages in life, maybe as we get a little older, we feel a lot more comfortable maybe spending time just by ourselves or with some close friends. And so we look at a life cycle, and those elements might be present as well.
Very cool. Your fiery teenagers running about.
Oh yeah, it's hysterical.
Yeah, I'll bet it is. Daisy's saying after the first COVID injection, somebody is experiencing overall pain, and the left leg feels very heavy, hindering walking. It's been a couple of months. You have any ideas on how to help reverse?
Yeah, these side effects from the vaccines, they manifest sometimes very differently in each of us individually. Your Qigong practice is going to help to reestablish equilibrium. If it's in the leg, I might say, where in the leg is it? Is it back of the legs? Let's find out what meridian line it's on and start to work on that. Let's get some acupuncture. I would say these are the times where, you might want to do more, of the 5 branches. I would say, get some herbs, work on the nutrition, do your Qigong practice, do extra healing sounds to clear the pathogenic Qi, and work with a good herbalist on some protocols to clear any side effects that's happened from the Western approach. When we do anything, it can create a pathogenic effect in our system that might be irritating us. And that's what we want to push out and leave the benefits. So that's how Chinese medicine works. Let's clear the Qi that's not benefiting us, and let's retain the benefits. So healing sounds are very good for that. And an overall, a well-established Qigong practice, get some herbs, do some acupuncture.
Yep, makes sense to me. Charlie's asking, what can I do when the muscles go into spasms after Qigong twists due to spinal imbalance in the thoracic and lumbar area?
So this person is doing Qigong twisting and then getting some soreness or some irritation.
Spasm that doesn't go away. So I guess tightness and probably soreness.
I think what's happening often when we start moving our bodies in different ways and we get these releases, we're going to get some spasms and some ways in which, hey, we haven't been working and moving in this particular way, and the body has it to recalibrate. And it's not that you want to stop, you want to back off a little bit. Just don't go as far or as long, but go a little easier for a few days to a few weeks, and then just slowly and gradually start to work that tension out. And it will. And that's what we've found, over many, many years, is you just don't push it, go into it slowly, and the body adapts. And all of a sudden you are in a really different body after a month, 2 months, 3 months. We just take our time to open things up. If you find that a pressure point for spasms and cramps is right here. So if all of a sudden you get a spasm or a cramp, you just can push this point right above your lip and massage that. That works really, really well. But otherwise, that's my advice.
Good advice. Bridget wants to cultivate Qi for healing an MS diagnosis, limited mobility and pain. Any suggestions for that? A big one.
With MS, it's affecting the nervous system and the nerves. And so again, we're going to say, well, what element is related to the nervous system? It's the wood element. What emotions are related to the wood element? Stress, frustration, agitation, anger. Let's work on processing, clearing any of that that's happening in the present or from the past. Let's do slow flows to really get our nervous system in a calm, relaxed space. So with MS or Parkinson's, Qigong is extremely helpful. I did even some classes for San Francisco State University with MS patients. Very specifically, this was a good 20 years ago, and we saw tremendous benefits. I'm not sure what they did with that empirical research or whatnot. I just was there as a teacher. Over 12 weeks, we saw great improvements, less symptoms, and side effects of that ailment a lot less, and people were really happy with the results.
Yep. Yes, indeed. Well, that's all the Facebook question time we have, because as we always love to do here at Tea with Lee, we like to invite somebody up to ask their question directly. And I always have to lower all the hands when we start this, because sometimes people wander off if they left their hand up for a while. So if you'd like to ask Lee your question directly, probably only have time for one or maybe two. Please feel free to raise your hand here in Zoom. You'll be coming up on screen. So make sure you're able to turn on your camera, and you'll be part of the replay, which will be posted to YouTube for posterity. So hopefully you're okay with being in public. Thank you, Lee and Ben. Q&A had so much info and added bonus. Harper appearance, so cute. Yes, we do love those Harper appearances for sure. We have Ruth coming in. There we go, and get all the buttons pressed, and there you are. Hi there.
Hi. Thanks so much. Although I wasn't planning on being on camera today, so.
I know how you feel, Ruth. I know how you feel.
I would have done something with this, but this is.
Those are looks like Princess Leia buns. You got the Jedi thing going on, so I think it's really appropriate.
My daughter calls them space buns.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
I have a couple questions. Now, I've been going for acupuncture. Actually, it's all one question. I had thyroid cancer, and they took out my thyroid, the whole thing, and I'm on replacement stuff. I also have really bad arthritis and put on a bunch of weight from the thyroid. Movement is hard. I'm cold. They're replacing stuff, and I need something that is going to bring balance back to my body, because I don't feel
Yeah.
like myself, and
Yeah, I'm
this
sure.
isn't fun.
Yeah, sorry to hear that. That's tough. So when we talk about the elements, now the water element it rules over our endocrine system. The temperature of the water element is cold. So you're going to see water element issues with what you're talking about. The thyroid is part of the endocrine system, and then did you say joints and bones?
Yeah, I've got rheumatoid and osteoarthritis. I have
arthritis,
to have
and so
another hip replacement.
right. So the water element is also the area. The bones are the area of influence with the water element. So we're going to see a very clear sign with your description in just three things that you said. It's all related to the water element. And so work on the kidneys, and we want to warm up your kidneys. So I would also say, let's bring some more fire into the practice. So Ruth, here's what I want you to do. I want you to do some things that you really enjoy, because that's the heart, and the heart is the fire. So I know when you're feeling, like your body's been disrupted and this, but take time to really tune into some things that you really enjoy each and every day. That's going to open up your heart. Even if it's just little things, but really tune into what you're grateful for and what's making you happy, because it's easy to get wrapped up in all the stuff that's really challenging into our bodies or into our lives. And that's the heart. That's going to help a lot. I might say, even having a little journal where you're writing down a few things that you really enjoy during the day. I know it seems like just a little thing, but it really helps to stoke the heart fire and give us some perspective. That will be helpful to warm up the system. I would also say do some heart exercises like cloudy hands. And even if you have to do Qigong in a chair, just keep your body moving, because movement is creating warmth. It's going to push this Qi out, and it's going to awaken your healing energy in your body. Your water element also wants to circulate. Keep it flowing. So I know it probably seems like, I don't feel like moving. I don't have enough energy, or I feel like I'm in a new body. Just do a little pushing through of that, because what your body's really asking for is circulation, movement of energy, both in the water and the fire. And you don't have to do water, fire. It's in general, your Qigong practice will help. Find a time that's going to work for you, an amount of time. And if you want to do it in the chair, just do all your exercises from a seated position, because that's what's most comfortable. You can do that as well, but just be continuous with your practice. Remember that your body has a tremendous healing power, and you're just going to give it that boost it needs to awaken.
Thank you so much. That's really helpful.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that so much.
And keep those space buns going.
Oh, yeah, it's quality look.
Oh, it is, definitely.
Thank you very much, Ruth.
Thank you.
I think it's so important to give it that little boost, like you're saying, but also to wash away some of the stress, man. It's like when we get these diagnoses and we get these issues and we get the sort of fallout from it, it just makes you worry, it makes you stressed out, it makes you anxious. And that really gets in the way of your body doing all that healing work that it's capable of. So I've seen just so many amazing results just from doing the Qigong, that it seems like just washing away enough stress to get your body to do what it already knows how to do is just such a crucial element to staying healthy and getting healthy. Melissa says, Ruth, your space buns are lovely. Well, folks, we're coming to the end here. And Mr. Holden, I'm hoping that you've got a little something to send us on our way with. And
I got like one cup of tea left. So it's just perfect.
It is.
The whole picture's gone. The transformation of tea to Qi. Well, guys, have been a great conversation. And thanks for all your wonderful questions and inquiries. The thing is, we're all in different bodies with different energy systems. And that's the beautiful thing about life, is our different perspectives that we bring. And our bodies are challenging. Being in a body is challenging, and Qigong practice makes it easier. It is, as Lao Tzu said, it's like you're not carrying your body around. It feels like you're floating. And that's why we do this practice, to bring effortless ease into our life. So let's just set an intention to bring more effortless ease into our day, into our lives, in and through these energy systems and minds and bodies. Cheers for now. Many blessings.